Hey everyone, geophysicist Stefan Burns here. There is an incredible celestial event happening tonight that you're not going to want to miss. And this is the conjunction between Venus and Jupiter, the two benefics, and two of the brightest objects in the night sky. So it's basically impossible to miss. And this is perfectly coinciding with the peak of the Perseid Meteor Shower. So there was a comet that broke up into a whole bunch of fragments long time ago, and we see the orbit and distribution of those fragments here, and once per year there is a massive increase in the amount of meteors that we have coming in, about one per minute, originating from mostly the constellation of Perseus. And so tonight, if you go out, you will see Venus conjunct Jupiter starting about 3 hours before sunrise, and you also may see a whole bunch of shooting stars, all of them providing ample wish opportunities. And Venus and Jupiter are known as the two benefics. Jupiter being the greater benefic and Venus being the lesser benefic. Basically the good guys that grant you favors and fortunes and wishes. So right now is incredibly fortunate and benefic time. A lot of good energy is bubbling up as a result of this conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. We're going to discuss that in today's video and a lot more. I also had a very interesting, powerful synchronistic dream last night that I think most of you who are subscribed to the channel are going to want to hear, so I'll share that as well. Let's get right into it. To help you locate this conjunction between Venus and Jupiter in the early morning sky, let's use our Stellarium software, and this also will allow us to find the constellation of Perseus, which is where most of these meteors originate, so you can see as many of these fireballs as possible. Some of them get quite large. So this is just set by default to my location and my time of day, and this is just kind of a generic backdrop. So you'll notice the only thing I'll really see up here is the sun. We are going to go forward in time. Before I turn off some of these other things, we're going to go forward in time and watch the sun set. And I'm also going to pause this right here. So we'll go forward and we see the sun is going down like this. So there's our sun, lovely. And as it sets, all of a sudden the night sky appears. You'll see Mars there setting soon after the sun goes down. And if we go forward, now we'll get to the morning, and we want around 4 a.m., though it goes all the way from about 4 a.m. to sunrise, maybe even like 3 a.m. to sunrise, this conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. And if we saw that the sun set here, we can put on our ecliptic plane, so it actually set a little bit closer there. Then we can also go to the other side to see where Venus and Jupiter are going to rise together in the early morning sky. And there they are. Look at how close together that they are. The only reason that they're not perfectly conjunct is because there's a little bit of inclination to their orbits. So Jupiter nearly exactly on the ecliptic plane, Venus a little bit off from that. If we go back again at about an hour, we'll see that they disappear. But if we go forward here, we'll see them rise over the horizon, the eastern horizon, and they will be very, very bright. But then eventually they will disappear because it will be dawn and the sun will rise. And so all of a sudden the light of the sun will obscure them. So there they are. So you can see this progression again. If I go back in time, they are rising as it becomes sunrise. Now this is also a very special conjunction because they are conjunct Sirius right here. Now Sirius is off to the side, so this is not a perfect conjunction in terms of latitude and longitude, but in terms of the ecliptic plane, they are also conjunct Sirius, which is also one of the brightest objects in the night sky. So this is a very, very cool conjunction between Jupiter and Venus, and I'm going to talk more about this astrologically in the members only section of this video. So make sure if you want to watch that to sign up as a channel member. And then we're going to go in depth into the astrology behind this because there are certain things resonating very strongly with this super benefic conjunction. But let us turn off our atmosphere and let's find the constellation Perseus. So we can turn on our constellation labels and also our lines. And so here we see a lot of different constellations. Of course, most people know the constellations that lie along the ecliptic, that's the zodiac. But here we see Perseus, and we see this marker for the Perseids. So the Perseid Meteor Shower generally originates from there because that's where that stream is kind of entering in. And so Earth is rotating into that stream of fragments. So if you go out in the morning effectively and you find Venus and Jupiter, which will be unmistakable, they're the brightest objects in the night sky at this time. This is 5:30 a.m. here. Again, I can turn the atmosphere on, but let's even go back to, for example, like 4:30, okay? So they'll be right over the horizon. If you turn the atmosphere on, you'll see that the night sky is still very much visible, okay? You find them, and then you just simply go up and find the constellation of Taurus, or Aldebaran, which is very bright. You also have Betelgeuse, which is very bright, and we have Sirius down there. You kind of find those three as reference points, and then you go up, you'll find Perseus, and that is where you're going to see a lot of these fireballs come in. And you will also notice Algol there. That's a pretty famous star, fixed star, but it's not the brightest. We have this star right there, Merfolk, which is the brightest, and it's generally from this location. So to keep it really simple, find Venus and Jupiter and just look higher up, and then you'll see the constellation of Perseus off to the left a little bit. And so you can see both these together at the same time this morning. And really anytime after dusk, you'll start to see these meteors. They peak tonight and also, tomorrow morning. So for the next 24 hours, wherever you are, they're going to peak. The rate goes up by like a factor of 10. So it's about probably one of these meteors every single minute or so, but it can even spike to about 100 per hour. And in fact, I saw some this morning when I went out to check out the conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. Here is my photograph. So this morning I had a very powerful synchronistic dream, which I'm about to share with you, that woke me up around 3:30 a.m. I quickly wrote it down. I'm going to read you what I wrote directly after this, but knowing that there is this conjunction between Venus and Jupiter happening and normally not being awake at 3:30 or 4 a.m., I decided to go outside and check it out. And I have great stargazing conditions right now on the big island of Hawaii. And so this is the photo that I took with my EOS R camera, and this is a 1 second exposure. And so we see Venus right there, very, very bright, Jupiter right next to it. And these are the two benefics, so the good guys. And Jupiter is said to rule over the larger rhythms of fortune, and then Venus is said to rule over the more daily or weekly rhythms of fortune. So you get both of them combined, these big life benefic events, and also the more mundane benefic events that befall you, like scooping up a $20 bill off the sidewalk, and Jupiter being that perhaps big surprise inheritance from a family member you didn't even know about. That is kind of the signature here. This could be a big job promotion. This could just be feeling really good. There's a whole bunch of ways that this can kind of manifest. And I find it very interesting that it was almost like Earth pulled me out to see this, and she also delivered this dream to me. So I believe, and I think most people on this channel probably feel the same way, and most ancient peoples live this way, is that we are not interacting with a dull, dead universe and where we're the only things that matter that have consciousness and meaning. In fact, we are just part of that larger system, of course. So the Earth has consciousness, the Sun has consciousness, the cosmos has consciousness, and because, in fact, they're much bigger and more complex than we are, stands to reason that they're much more conscious than we are. And really, we should be approaching this relationship with the Earth and the Sun and the stars very humbly and with respect, and very much in the position of the student and them being the teacher, all of us being one under God. So I have this feeling that Earth kind of delivered this dream to me last night, because I very much embody that and live that. And so if you're listen deeply and quietly and humbly, I believe that she reveals her secrets to you, those that are she feels chosen and in resonance with her. We talk about that a ton on the channel. And so I had this dream, which is quite striking, but let me share it because I track my dreams as it relates to the position of the planets. And the fact that I had this with the Venus-Jupiter conjunction trine the waning gibbous moon, I find very interesting. So I woke up, and this was at 3:30 a.m. approximately when I woke up. When I checked the clock, it said 3:34, but that clock is like 4 minutes fast. So the title is The Next Super Weapon is a EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. And so the dream is I'm in a building with strangers, an old school perhaps, in a large room, like a classroom. Suddenly I got the urge to grab my friend, so I leave the room and go to her room. When I get there, we introduce ourselves, and her name is Hades. So taking a break from reading it, I didn't, she wasn't my friend at this point, but also was my friend. And so I left, and this person that I talked to, which was like a young girl, good looking, was Hades, like literally introduced herself as, "Hi, I'm Hades." And so a lot of people have had experiences of connecting to different deities, you could say. This could be like Sophia, this could be Jesus Christ, a whole bunch of others, Greek gods, more. Apparently I met Hades this morning. And so I'm taken aback by her name, and I mention its significance. I also just quickly talked about the Hadiopelagic depths, which is the deepest part of the ocean, which has the word Hades in it, which I find interesting. Either way, we head back to the other room when suddenly there is a massive rumbling. So we're in like the hallway, and everything is shaking, and we hear this incredibly loud noise. Massive rumbling. A very large and loud explosion-like sound coming from the sky. And it was definitely coming from above us. My brain is already processing what it could be, and when we get to the other room, I discover my old laptop, my old Sony laptop, sitting on one of the desks, and it's totally powered on. It's been turned on, and it's like actually like overheating. I'm confused until I suddenly realize that what we heard and what we just experienced was a massive electromagnetic pulse. And that's what hit us. And it was so powerful as to energize my old battery-dead laptop, even when stored in the metal filing cabinet where it was originally. So of course in dreams there's a little bit of discontinuity. It was in this metal filing cabinet, though when I arrived it was actually on the table and powered on because this EMP was so powerful it energized the laptop and actually started to have it overheat. So I pronounced this to everyone in the room, and everyone else is silent. Interestingly, Neil deGrasse Tyson's there, and he's looking at me speechless, and that's when the dream ends. So the dream is about some massive electromagnetic pulse that takes everyone by surprise, and I find it very interesting that who I was with in this dream is Hades. Hades being the entity representative of secrets and power and transformation. Think of how transformational an EMP going off would be for society, knocking out electronics and more. And whether this would just be like maybe a 2-day disturbance or a 2-month disturbance or a 2-year disturbance, I don't know. But you can consider if an EMP got detonated over the United States, because that's the next super weapon, let's say, how that would shift the balance of power. Or somewhere else, like an EMP gets detonated. Like that could be the next super weapon. If you watch Dan Waite's channel, World Astrology Report, and other people have been talking about this, he has been tracking and researching into how the Pluto-Neptune cycle is connected to the development of nuclear technology. And nuclear technology goes beyond just nukes. It's really just an understanding of plasma and very high energy particle physics. Because when you detonate a nuke, you're creating a whole bunch of plasma. The EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. And if you want there to be a very powerful electromagnetic pulse, you need there to be an electric circuit generating that magnetic field. And so a nuke is just an explosion. But with time, over the past we go back let's just say 1945, that's 60, 80 years now, right? Going back to when we dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the United States. You have 80 years to develop this technology further. You can imagine perhaps that they've worked on this technology to actually create a more self-sustaining electric circuit rather than just a single impulse using advanced particle physics and plasma physics. Who knows? But that could be the next super weapon. It wouldn't have that much of a radiation effect, which would be a good thing, but it would knock out technology, which we're now dependent on, and that would be, in many ways, cataclysmic for society nowadays. So that is the dream, and it was very vivid. I'm not sure if it's a precognition dream or premonition or anything. Just thought I would share that with you, but I do find it interesting. I had that dream as this is unfolding, and it caused me to wake up, and of course I remembered that this was happening, so I went out there. So there's some benefic angle to this, and I've also noticed just in my own exploration of all this that Pluto does have at times a benefic edge to it. Pluto in ancient Greek actually meaning wealth, Pluto and Hades. So there is this connection between, like, if you have a pure heart that and you're not, greedy or sinful, then the energy of Pluto actually can work with you to deliver very benefic things. And here we have the two benefics in the night sky. So that was my dream from this morning, and there's a lot of, I could see connections to this and how this could actually play out, but I'm not here to, unnecessarily trouble anyone, and I'm not claiming to be a prophet or anything. This is literally just my dream. Whether this is information delivered to me from Earth or whether this is just a fantasy of the mind, that's up for you to decide, but that is what I experienced this morning, and we hope that nothing like that happens, but maybe there's a good reason why something like that will happen or should happen. Who knows? Now I'm going to go into the astrology more on a members only video, but I just wanted to tell you that that video does exist. So if you want to see that, sign up. If you're already a channel member, then you can watch this. We'll go more into the astrology of this moment in time and what's really, really, really strongly resonating with that. I'll lay that out for you. It's also a glimpse across some of these larger societal cycles and the rhythms of how we interact with others and the exchange of energy and information and value. But now let's get into a cosmic connection meditation to help bring these energies in and to cultivate this amazing benefic energy. Now let us perform a cosmic connection meditation to help connect to these benefic energies that are active at this moment in time, and also these amazing energies coming in from the Perseid Meteor Shower, because you actually have comet fragments raining down into the Earth at this moment in time at the highest rate that they do every single year. So the combination of the two is quite fantastic. So I recommend you find a comfortable position, whether this is seated or laying down, and you may close your eyes. Just take a nice breath. Start to observe your breathing. Just center yourself, ground yourself. Observe where you are right now, and start to deepen that breath. So breathe all the way out, all that stale air, and breathe in. And relax and sigh, let it out. Just give your body permission to relax, to let go, to just be. And where can you find ease in your body? Where do you feel good in your body? Rather than focusing on spots that are tight or perhaps painful, we can focus on what feels good. And once you find that spot or spots, allow that feeling of ease to expand outwards. You can even visualize it as a light slowly pulsing and growing from that center until your entire body is enveloped in this pulsing aura. Breathe. We give thanks to Venus for bringing in so many pleasing, benefic energies to our day-to-day, our more mundane existence. And we give thanks to Jupiter for providing these larger waves of fortune to our life, for looking out for us, helping to hold the whole solar system together, protecting us from rogue meteors and comets. Thank you, Venus. Thank you, Jupiter. And now with your whole body feeling good, purified and pulsing with this light aura, anywhere that feels non-coherent and disharmonious, not resonant, just let it float away, to dissipate, to make room for these new benefic, fortuitous energies to come in. Or for them even to emerge from within us. We activate our natural creative potential, latent skills and abilities. And we give thanks to all the good in our lives. Just like the breath, in and out, so too do we recognize this pulse. To let go of what no longer serves us and to bring in the new. (222 hertz). An energy of growth and optimism. Allow this frequency to wash over you. To dispel any doubts and fears. Everything will be okay. And if you are in a tight spot, the only way out is through. God is there, guiding you, protecting you. We give thanks to God for all of the unanswered prayers that with retrospect, we're very grateful for. There is a divine purpose, a divine plan to everything. Aho. Aho. (432 hertz). Breathe, relax, be. Even if you don't get the opportunity to see Venus and Jupiter conjunct in the early morning sky, you can still connect to those energies. They are up in the sky for most of the day, sharing that, radiating that energy outwards. We give our thanks in gratitude to the earth, to the sun, to the cosmos. We'll close with 3 ohms, the master frequency. Please join me. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you get an opportunity to see Venus and Jupiter conjunct, and hopefully catch a lot of shooting stars and make a lot of wishes. Wishing all of you the best. Please take care of yourselves. Thank you all so much for your support. I extend my gratitude to each and every single one of you, and I'll see you all with a future update on what is happening with the Earth, the Sun, and the cosmos. So please subscribe to stay informed. Again, thank you all so much. I'll see you all very soon.